All right, let's discuss something that's become a divisive issue here in Fort Wayne and across the country, really. This is a flock surveillance camera. It's an automated license plate reader that photographs every passing vehicle and stores the information for police to use later in investigations. There are 36 of them in Fort Wayne, and the police department wants to renew the contract with Flock for just over $120,000. However, the city council has held up approval of those funds on concerns that the technology goes too far in collecting private information. Here to unpack the issue is Devin Filchak, Metro editor at the Fort Wayne Journal-Gazette. Welcome to the 260, Devin.
Thank you.
Talk to me how the cameras work.
So yeah, like you mentioned, the cameras capture license plate numbers as cars drive past them, along with some identifying information about the vehicles. Then all of those get stored in a system that police can then go look up, oh, I have a partial license plate number, or I have this description of a car, and hopefully find suspects.
And it captures every car, right?
Yes.
Everything going by. So the stuff that the police actually look at is very minuscule compared to everything that's captured.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's been used to help 275 investigations so far
Yeah,
this year.
that's what I read in your report. How long have the police been using these?
So they started using them in 2024, and that's kind of where some of the controversy has come in, because even council members were like, why is this the first time we're hearing about it?
Exactly. Why is the controversy happening now?
Right, exactly. So it's really just because of the amount of the contract. It's just exceeded that $100,000 line now, so council has to hear about it, but council members and the public alike wish they would have heard about it much sooner.
So in those 277 cases, describe how the flock cameras are used.
I've been noticing it in more court documents lately that often, they might have a suspect or they might see a vehicle. There's so many surveillance cameras at different businesses and even homes now that they might have a little bit of a description, but they're able to kind of get one step closer to identifying that by searching the system.
So police can go back, search the system, and also I read that they're monitoring it all the time. So if there's a stolen vehicle going by, the police will get an alert, right? Like if it's stolen vehicle from another state or whatever, it shows up.
Yes, and that's
pings
one.
The police.
That's one thing that could be controversial about it too, is just how many agencies are able to access the data in Fort Wayne.
Yeah. So let's get into that. There's been plenty of opportunity for citizens to comment on these cameras, and from what I read, most of the reaction has been very negative. People want the council to reject this contract. Why? What's their concern?
Yeah, that is the concern, is just knowing exactly how that data is used. People don't like the idea of being caught on camera, and then maybe they're not suspected for a crime, but just the idea that data could be misused, or that there's more than 2,000 agencies that can access that data at any time. People do worry about it being used for non-investigations.
So, and there is some, not in Fort Wayne necessarily, but there are some documented cases of police departments that have used this information. For example, officers and police chiefs in other states have tracked their ex-girlfriends and ex-wives. So there is an opportunity for misuse. What protections are there here in Fort Wayne to prevent those things from happening?
Yeah, so all the officers are trained. There's, I think, more than 470 that are trained to use the program in town, and they have to have some information like a partial plate or some of that identifying information, and then they also audit the system to make sure it's being used correctly. The police chief, PJ Smith, has said he's not worried about it being misused like it has other places, but that's only done so much to comfort people.
So that has not comforted people, right?
No, not really.
Not really. So it has to be an open case, but they can also go back and find information to open a case up, right?
Yeah, they have to have some information before they go into it, because they have to be looking for something specific. But then they also, it can't be the only evidence they use. They have to have more to kind of round it out to have probable cause to arrest someone. From
your reporting, it seems like, it's not like the flock cameras capture people in the act of a crime for the most part, right? But it gives police some information from which they can go build a case and find other information. Are there some examples of how the technology has been used to solve actual cases here in Fort Wayne?
Yeah, one case that officials have talked about a lot because it was a big one, was the homicide of Perla Nieto, who was the cashier at Kroger a couple of years ago. And that was one where it was kind of active. The suspect was driving away and they were able to find him that way. And that was one where the prosecutors have talked about it's incredibly important because jurors are, used to modern technology and they want to be able to see that and see this evidence from different places. So that's one they really credit for it.
Yeah, so I guess jurors have been accustomed, like if there's no evidence, if I don't see video, it didn't really happen, right? So we've sort of devalued the idea of testimony. So one of the other concerns that has been brought up, among people is that this constant surveillance, it's like an example of over surveillance, right? Like the constant surveillance allows, police to build like a pattern of life. This has come up in other states. Is that, again, the auditing, what does the auditing do that helps guard against such a thing?
I think the auditing is really there just to make sure that officers are using it the way that it should. One concern that Councilman Raleigh Booker brought up was the idea of using a fake case number to access that. So I think it's just checking to make sure that, yes, they are using it as trained.
So how long is the information that's captured by the cameras kept on the file?
It's kept for 180 days, which is consistent with some of the other evidence that police store, but that is something that makes Fort Wayne different than other communities.
How so?
Even in Allen County Sheriff's Department stores it for 30 days, which I think gives people a little bit more comfort versus it being stored for months.
Right. And some municipalities in Indiana have voted to increase their flock commitment, and others, Bloomington, Indiana, decided to stop.
Yes, I think it's really a matter of officials weighing, is the level of technology and the public scrutiny worth what it does for investigations, and that really does vary depending on who you ask.
So 2,000 agencies across America can go into our video files and research. Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And how many police officers in Fort Wayne have access to it? Local?
I believe it's about 470 officers.
Wow. So so what do the other authorities use our information for? Like to research cases they're working on?
Yeah, it could be researching cases they're working on. It could be looking for suspects who they believe have fled, maybe even cross state lines. So those types of reasons.
So what's next for this issue?
Yeah, so on August 25th, they're scheduled to reconsider the funding for the next contract, and if they don't approve it, it looks like Flock won't be around much longer.
They'll have to take them down?
I believe so,
Wow.
yeah.
All right, well, we're going to keep abreast of that. You can read the ongoing coverage of this story at the JG's website, journalgazette.net/260. All right, thank you so much for being on the show.